In the meantime, we pick up our conversation with Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Meathead, anything to tie up the smoked cocktail ingredients and grilled stuff?
Just a couple other things that you can play with as you're experimenting. We'll have the drink recipes. I'll probably put a few of them in the Pitmaster Club once I perfect them in the next few months. And then they'll be in my next book when it comes out about a year from now. But some things to play with is smoked salt. You can buy it or make it. Smoking sugar is something fun to play with. If you want, you can try flaming drinks, but they are really dangerous. Be careful, especially flaming shots. Just Google flaming shots on the internet, and you'll see pictures of people setting their mouth on fire, setting their mustache on fire, setting the house on fire.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, just beware of flaming shots. But you can use things like smoked hot sauce. Chipotle Tabasco is Chipotle is smoked. You can use Chipotle in a drink to get some heat. The smoking guns, that's a brand name, but there are imitations that are less expensive on Amazon, and they work. I've got one. You can do things like grilling all kinds of fruits, pineapple. There's nothing better than grilled pineapple.
Agreed.
It's wonderful. By the way, if you like grilled pineapple, I just came back from vacation, my first one in 5 years, and we went to Hawaii. And I went to Michael Mina's strip steak restaurant in Waikiki. And instead of making bananas Foster, which is a famous flamed dessert, they made pineapple Foster. And I filmed the whole process. And it's on youtube.com/AmazingRibs. I just posted it. It's pretty cool. And you can recreate the recipe just from watching the video. Other things you can do is you can light your garnishes, orange peel, rosemary, cinnamon. You can light them all on fire. You can use wood chips. I mentioned that we used anise. I should be clear. It was star anise. And when we were done, we dropped the star anise in the drink, and it really tasted neat. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can play with.
Meathead from AmazingRibs.com joining me here on the show. All right, so let's go ahead and transition over to some Facebook Q&A if you're up for it.
Yeah, and I should also jump in here with Valentine's Day coming around, and if you're going to be cooking at home, may I suggest chocolate being the favorite Valentine treat. On our website, I have a chocolate barbecue sauce. It's really good, and it's a lot of fun. So whoop up some ribs with a chocolate barbecue sauce for your lover, or it's not barbecued, it's not grilled, it doesn't have fire involved, but you can, there's a recipe for, the little chocolate balls. What are they called, for crying out loud?
Chocolate balls?
Yeah, you know, there's for crying out loud, my memory is terrible.
Buckeye balls?
Somebody in the online will tell me the answer. But in any case, they're really,
you mean bonbons?
No, skip it, and I'll think of it in a minute.
All right. First question: truffles.
Truffles. That's it. Chocolate truffles. Thank you.
I thought of it. It's not Christy Vanover from Girls Can Grill that thought of it. I thought of it, of course.
It's really easy to make chocolate truffles, and I have the recipe on AmazingRibs.com, and it's fun because your hands get all covered in chocolate.
That's right. We love to be messy. That's part of being a barbecue and griller. First question from Steve in Tennessee. Meathead, tell me about wines that pair with pork, brisket, and chicken, all barbecued.
Okay. Look, you know, one of the reasons I feel comfortable answering this, and your readers, some of them, your listeners, some of them know, I had a previous life to barbecue. I was the wine critic for the Washington Post and the Chicago Tribune. I published a magazine and was on the USA wine tasting team. So I know a little bit about wine. I'm not up to speed currently on all the hot new wineries and stuff. But the general theory in all wine and food pairing is take a look at the food and find the dominant characteristic. So if it's pork ribs, but you're putting a really heavy, rich Kansas City barbecue sauce or a chocolate sauce on it, that's going to be the dominant flavor. So that's what you do your matching with. If it's just a simple piece of grilled fish, then the fish is the dominant flavor. But if you're making a really lemony sauce, that's the dominant flavor. So identify the dominant flavor. So when you say barbecued pork, my question is what's with it or on it? If it's just a pork chop grilled or smoked, I tend to go for a light white wine that's got good acidity, that will cut through fat, like a Sauvignon Blanc. But if it's got a mustard sauce on there, I might go for something richer like a Chardonnay. It really varies, but I think the key is what's your dominant flavor and match your wine to that. And there's two ways in matching. There's complement and contrast. You can wear a yellow shirt with brown pants, they complement, or blue pants, they contrast. And the same idea here with wine. You can choose, for example, a very hot, spicy barbecue dish. Go for a slightly sweet white, like a Riesling, or a Asti Spumante or something like that, a Moscato, which is a contrast, or go for something that complements it. Usually for fatty foods, I want acidity because acidity cuts the fat. It's like brushing your teeth between each bite.
Meathead bringing the wine talk because he's still an expert, whether he wants to downplay it or not. Next question is from Josh Poston. If Meathead's theory of beer can chicken is correct, I could cook a chicken over a can of kerosene and the chicken will not be affected. True or false?
I didn't say it will not be affected. It won't be affected much. The kerosene is a lot more volatile than beer. Beer is 95% water, 5% alcohol.
Yeah.
That alcohol is the volatile component. The kerosene is like 95% kerosene. That's very volatile, and it will get onto the surface of the inside of the shoulder, but it can't penetrate deep into the meat because the meat is saturated with water. And so there's no room for anything else to get in there. So it will escape the roof of the can, and where the gap is between the can of the roof and the shoulder, it can condense because the chicken is cooler than the beer. So it will condense on the surface. And yes, that bite will have some kerosene flavor. But anywhere else, the drumsticks, the thighs, the wings, even the rest of the breast, no way you will taste kerosene. You may smell it because that fragrance might get all over the place, but more likely what will happen is the kerosene will catch on fire, and then you'll be able to taste it.
Josh, let me be Waterford crystal clear here. Do not try it out. Please do not try it out.
Yeah,
we don't want to read next month that I tried it out. Meathead Bob burned my grill down. This, that, and the other.
Yeah.
We
don't want to dialing in from the hospital.
We appreciate the question. Do not try that at home. Next question coming in from Doug in Texas. Does Meathead have any secrets for frying for long periods of time on a pellet cooker besides taking out the drip pan? Or would you recommend deep frying on a pellet cooker, Meathead?
Well, we've talked in the past, you and I, Greg, about frying on a grill.
Yes.
The people who are into frying, and I've learned a lot about it because I got into frying, is that there's a sweet spot between 350 and 375. And that's where most foods are fried. Some things can be fried as low as 325. But the lower the temperature, the more the oil penetrates. So 375 is where, as a rule of thumb, I start all my frying. And the minute you start putting food in there, it cools it off in a hurry. And you got to get that temp back up. So if you put, say you've got a 1 gallon Dutch oven and you put an inch of cooking oil in there, and then you're going to fry 4 pieces of chicken, that cooking oil will go up to 375. But the minute you put 4 pieces of refrigerator temp, 38°F or less, in there, the temp's going to take a nosedive down to about 3.25 or less. And you got to get it heated back up in a hurry. So you need a lot of heat. I like doing it in a Dutch oven because the oven itself holds a lot of energy and a lot of heat, so it helps stabilize temp. And pellet smokers tend to be like your indoor oven. They tend to be really good ovens. They're indirect heat, so you'd have to take the diffuser out and get it right over the hot pot. And I don't know if it would get hot enough to get it up to 375. It might, and how well the temp would recover once it chills. But you could try it and find out. But you'd have to get it right over that flame. I would get that deflector plate out of the way if you can.
I would be nervous because I do have a number of pellet cookers now on my back porch. But if I took out the the deflector shield, and then I guess I put the grill grates back on so that can accommodate the pan, so then I'm underneath the fire. I'm still worried that there's going to be some splattering. I'm not as worried on my gas grill about splattering, but for some reason with the pellet cooker, I'm worried about splattering because you do have a lot of ash that's being blown around and collecting underneath. I'm not saying that's going to catch fire, but I'm thinking just from a ooey gooey mess kind of a situation. I don't think
that is an issue. I mean, pellet smokers do create ash, and with the deflector plate off, that ash will fly around.
Yeah.
I don't think that's any kind of flame hazard. Some of that might get into the pot, but that's one of the reasons why I say I use a 1 gallon Dutch oven with only an inch in there for fried chicken. Fried chicken, you want the chicken to touch the bottom of the pan because the hot pan will also cook it. And it's hotter than the oil. Now, for things like that are in a batter, like fried pickles or French fries, which aren't in a batter, but those you want to deep fry. Those you want 3 to 4 inches of oil, so they'll float and churn. Onion rings. But things like chicken, you want to keep a shallow layer of oil so they're in contact with the bottom of the pan. So if you've got a 1 gallon Dutch oven, that's got 4, 5, 6 inches of sidewall. I mean, and only an inch in the bottom. It's not going to splatter much.
All right, Meathead, here's the last one. It's not necessarily a question, but giving us an update here. I don't know if you had heard it, but according to researchers at Texas A&M, beef brisket contains high levels of oleic acid, which produces high levels of HDLs, the good kind of cholesterol. Oleic acid has 2 major benefits. It produces HDLs, which lower your risk of heart disease, and it lowers LDLs, the bad type of cholesterol. What are we saying in deduction? Eat more brisket, of course. Did you know that? Oleic acid is prevalent
I
in
didn't
brisket?
know that, but let's get something out here right now, because we hear the same thing about grass-finished beef versus corn-finished or grain-finished, and all these foods that have benefits or that have detriments like processed meats and such. If you live to 80 years old, you will eat 80,000 meals.
Wow.
You eat about 1,000 meals a year. You eat 3 meals a day times 365, 3 times 365 is about 1,000. 80 years, 80,000 meals.
Wow.
You can eat some salami. You can eat some pastrami. You can eat Cheetos. You just don't, and you can eat brisket.
It appears you can eat a lot of brisket and be healthier for it.
A lot of goddamn brisket to do you any good. For crying out loud.
Wow.
I mean, so you're going to have a brisket one. What are you going to do? How many of us even eat brisket once a week?
Not me.
I mean, I love my brisket, but I'd be lucky if I'm not a competitor. I'll be lucky if I cook 3 or 4 a year. So what is going to happen to my heart from eating 3 brisket meals a year? Come on.
You don't think you're going to reap health benefits of the oleic acid 3 times a year, Meathead?
All this dietary science, stop reading it.
But this is from
science.
This is from Texas A&M. They're beef experts.
Well, that's fine. There's oleic acid in there. Wonderful. Good for them. I mean, eat fish. Come on. Mom had it right, and so did Michael Pollan. Eat a mixed diet of a little bit of everything. And you can search AmazingRibs.com, and except for an article that talks about just this subject, won't find anything about health. We never say this is a healthy recipe because it has less fat, or this is it. Just the other thing about this is, oh, you got me riled up here now, Greg.
Great.
Um, dietary science is not the same as laboratory science. In laboratory science, I just talked about how we made a cocktail and we couldn't really taste the difference. It was just delicious. We didn't taste the grill flavor. Then we made one without. Here you have a control. Here you have an experiment. You can see the difference. In doing physics and chemistry, you can have a control and you can have an experiment and you can see the difference. You can't get 100 people and divide them into 2 groups and lock them in rooms and feed one group brisket every day for 10 years and another group pulled pork every day for 10 years and come to a conclusion. The way dietary science works is they ask people to keep a diary, and they ask them to be honest, and they lie. They don't tell them about the chocolate bonbons that they had. They don't, and they don't say that they had 8 ounces of brisket. They say they have 4 ounces, and then they look at these diaries, and then they look at the mortality rate, and they say, well, this guy ate a lot of red meat, and he died 5 years younger than the other guy who ate a lot of fish. Therefore, fish is better. And then there's this whole issue of cause and effect. Correlation is not causation, is what they say. I watch TV. They have really good evidence that if you watch a lot of TV, there's a higher likelihood you'll be obese. So TV causes obesity. There must be something about the radiation coming off of that TV that causes the obesity, right?
Or the inactivity of you watching television.
Or all the snacks I'm eating. But the point is they're trying to say that it's healthier to eat this food than that food. We don't know what other factors are at play here. I'm sorry, but I hope there aren't many dietitians out there listening here, but I don't pay a lot of attention to dietary science. I just try to eat a mixed diet. I try to eat a little bit of everything, not too much of anything. I love a hot dog, but I don't eat them every day.
Yep.
I don't even eat them once a week. I mean, I'm not going to die from eating 1 or 2 hot dogs a month. I eat 80,000 meals in my lifetime. No one thing is going to make me healthier. It's the quantity of food that I eat and the lack of exercise that I get that comes into play here.
Meathead from AmazingRibs.com breaking it all down. You can find him on the Twitter at Meathead. Go ahead and flame him, if you will, dietitians and scientists and all that stuff over there. He loves to see it. But in the meantime, you can catch him here the second Tuesday of every month. Meathead, always appreciate the time, my friend.
Greg, always fun talking to you and the Centralites. Happy Valentine's, everybody. Be my Valentine.
All right, we'll be Meathead's Valentine. Absolutely. Who doesn't want to be Meathead's Valentine from Amazing Ribs? I know I do. Wow.